Anyway, the uh, Franz Liszt was extremely talented at piano, extremely technical, extremely virtuosic. He started listening to the music of the people in the Hungarian countryside and brought it into the sort of more elevated, more elegant concert halls at the time. I'm not sure if I'm repeating myself because I got cut off accidentally and lost some of my last video, but part two I'll catch up and I'll finish with the last few composers here. Anyway, Franz Liszt, people thought he had an extra thumb. People were like, there's no way you can play this music with normal hands. Franz Liszt must have had an extra thumb. So here's some of his music that you can see is an extremely technical piece of music that he, where people started to think this way. We'll go towards the end. So this music's not sped up at all or anything. It's like normal. This is insanely fast. I mean, it's remarkable, right? So you can imagine Franz Liszt. He's one of the first guys to even do this, touring around Europe. People are losing their mind over this type of music. I mean, thousands of people would go to hear, and they would stand like 100 yards away and try to hear the piano from that far away. I mean, really wild stuff was going on at the time. This performer, Martha Argerich, extremely talented. I mean, you can see she really does the music justice. She's lightning fast on the piano. It's unbelievable. Okay, Franz Liszt. Next, I'm going to talk about Richard Wagner. Richard Wagner was most famous. He was German for his opera called The Ring Cycle, or Der Ring des Nibelungen in German. And Richard Wagner was one of the most influential composers of all times. His operas look to German mythology for inspiration, telling ancient Norse stories and illustrating drama with intense musical imagery. Really super intense. Okay. He also wrote a song you probably have heard called The Ride of the Valkyries, or Die Walküre. And he invented the concept of Gesamtkunstwerk, or total artwork, which is like he was a really talented composer. So he's going to hire someone who's also an equally talented costume designer to make the costumes for his opera. Or he's going to hire an equally talented writer to write the Norse mythology stories in an opera form. It's called a libretto, right? The best writer is going to write his libretto, and the best painter is going to make the background for his art. So, I mean, for his opera. So he thought everything, he thought opera could be the complete, total culmination of all these different artistic endeavors. And it kind of becomes that in a sense. I mean, it's like you have an extremely high level of detail in this music and an extremely high level of detail in the performance of this type of music for generations to come. So we'll play it. Richard Wagner's song that you probably have heard before. It's called The Ride of the Valkyries. It's about these harpy eagles flying over the Rhine River in Germany after a battle. They, I think after a great battle between two armies, the dead would be taken by the Valkyries to Valhalla, which is like the kind of like the Norse mythology version of heaven, where it's just like great warriors go there, right? And they drink and eat, and it's just this festival for the rest of eternity. So like it's a glorious moment anyway. Okay, there's no singers in the background of this performance. This is just the Berliner Philharmoniker, or the German orchestra, like National Orchestra. But you know, you can envision like elaborate costumes, elaborate over-the-top singing, fantastic stuff. I had a point that I was going to make, but I forget. It's just oh, right. So anyway, this type of music becomes really beloved by German people, right? And specifically kind of contributes to create this modern German, or at the time, what was a modern German national identity. In fact, side note, Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, the Nazi Party, really held this type of music to very high esteem. Richard Wagner his life never overlapped with the life of Adolf Hitler, I don't think. But his music was very popular at the time of Adolf Hitler's youth, right? It becomes sort of this symbol of, unfortunately, it becomes a symbol of sort of Germans, the Aryan superiority that was fed by this nationalist idea. Now, Richard Wagner himself was also, he probably, had he been born, say 50 years later, would have been a very ardent supporter of that political movement. He himself wrote over and over again extremely upsetting and anti-Semitic things, specifically about Felix Mendelssohn, who was born Jewish, right? He hated Felix Mendelssohn, and he, not just his music, but of course he hated the fact that he was Jewish, and he wrote all these treatises, right, about Judaism and Jews in music. He was not really Wagner, while writing fantastic, amazing music. The man himself had some shady ideology and political beliefs. So, you know, take that what it will. Can you separate the artist from the art? Not really. I don't know. Maybe you can. Anyway, Hector Berlioz, 1803-1869, French composer. His most famous composition, still played to this day, is something called Symphonie Fantastique, which tells the story of a man obsessed with an unrequited love. And so he tries to overdose on opium, but instead of ending his life, he hallucinates that he's being chased by witches and goblins. And in the artist's dream, he's cornered by soldiers and executed for public intoxication. And so let's see if we can go check out some Hector Berlioz. Also, really wild stuff. Symphonie Fantastique. Amazing, like, loud music. But still not, it's not like getting hit in the face with a hammer. Like Wagner, it's, you know, a little bit more elegant in some ways. The texture is different. By now, Berlioz has basically abandoned sonata allegro form, and he's writing 4 or 5 distinct movements. Right, so the first scene is this ball. I don't speak French, but there's the, oh yeah, at the end, the 5th movement, you have the Song of the Witches' Sabbath, the march to the, what's it called, the scaffold happens, right, where he's executed. So anyway, let's see if we can find some of that. This is supposed to be like the French government has found this person, you know, and is marching him to the scaffold. some good stuff. I'll leave that in the playlist as well. All right, enjoy. Oh, and finally we've got Giuseppe Verdi. He's considered the grandfather of the Italian opera style. A little bit lighter than German opera, but instead of drawing upon, say, Norse mythology, Verdi draws upon romantic tales and Shakespeare. And here's a piece of music called La Forza del Destino, which is pretty awesome. Let's check it out, and then that'll be that for the Romantic era of music. Okay, you get the point, folks. So I'll leave that in our playlist as well. La Forza del Destino by Giuseppe Verdi is also kind of typical of the Romantic era. And with that, 1913 is the end of the official Romantic era. And that's the start of World War I. Kind of evaporates everybody's illusions about how fantastic everything is in Europe. Good luck, have fun listening to this music, and I will leave you with that for this week.